All right, so we just finished our charcoal value scales, and so now we're going to put that to practice. So I'm going to cover up my value scales down here so I don't blend them. If I were to draw up here with my value scales down here, I would smear it all over the place. So I want to protect my artwork. I could have like my arm lifted up weird, but instead we're just going to cover it up. Okay, so I want you to draw 3 different forms, one using each of the different techniques. So, with this first, the pencil one, because this is so familiar for you, and the pencil feels just like regular pencil, I'm going to go ahead and do the sphere for this one. You do not have to do the same forms as me. You can do whichever shapes you want. I have my light source coming in from this way. So that means I'm going to leave a little white circle. I'm going to take my HB. Now charcoal gets real dark real fast. So be very, very light when you're using your charcoal. And this, remember, is the first layer, so it's okay if it looks a little dranky because we're going to cover all of this up. And with the charcoal, we're going to actually end up blending it with the blending stump anyway. So that'll be an added way to make it look better. It's like finger blending, but cleaner. Okay, so I've got my charcoal layer, that one. Moving on to 2B. Gradually lifting off pressure as I get closer to the end of my 4B. I'm sorry, HB. The difference between the HB and the 2B is just astounding to me, how much darker the 2B is. I'm actually pushing less pressure on it than I did the HB because the HB has my HB has a weird little bit in it that's like not wanting to work. 4B. And then lastly, 6B for the core shadow in here. And then I'm going to use my blending stump, which I'm going to clean off first. So I just rub it on this piece of sandpaper until it comes off mostly clean. Start in the lights. So one thing with charcoal, you can't just scribble and think that it's going to smear it all away. You have to be kind of mindful of your mark making. But I told you my HB was doing some weird stuff there, so that's why it's a little scratchy. Rotating to do a little blending, a little cleaning up. The cool thing about these blending stumps too is that you could be like, oh, I need a little bit more dark here. And you know that you've already picked up some dark. You can use that dark side. I did too much there, but. Okay. I blended away my reflected light. So I need to go back in to add in my reflected light which is totally fine. And then I can use this to smooth that out. Otherwise, if I didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to see my cast shadow. So exactly opposite of the light, long shape. So with our shapes for charcoal, I want us to go one step further. And I want us to not just have a shadow, I also want us to have a table that we're sitting on. So that you can start differentiating the shades between your background and your main object. So since the bottom of my sphere is pretty dark, my table should be pretty light. I'm going to go in and make it a little bit lighter. And then since the top of my sphere is pretty dark, but I have a light source from over here, I'm sorry, the top of my sphere is pretty light. I can be a little bit darker with my values in the top. So I can even go in a little bit darker around my sphere. Okay, I don't know about the quality of my camera, how well you guys can see that. Let me see if I can shine a flashlight on it. Doesn't really change much. So I'll have this, for example, in my room as well. All right, we're going to skip the tonal one, and I'm going to make that be in a different video because I can only record 15 minutes at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one now. So I'm filling up this whole area with like a light medium gray. I'm going to take my finger and blend it to make it all a nice even gray. If you want this to be perfect on the edges, you should use masking tape, or you can go back in and erase it after the fact. Okay, and now I'm just going to use my eraser. So I'm going to do a cone for this shape. So I'm going to lightly take my eraser and just draw my cone in here. And then pick my light source side. I'm going to say my light source is coming from this side. So with my kneaded eraser, I'm going to go ahead and start lightening up this side of my cone. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and draw the table outline. I can take my hard eraser, get that highlight in there, then come back with a kneaded eraser to blend out the line. And then I'm going to come back in with I can use my compressed charcoal, or I can go in with the pencil. And I'm going to darken up the dark side of my shape. Because remember, this is like a light medium or a dark medium gray. It's not black. We want it to go all the way to the black and the dark parts. So it's not much to see yet, but I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to go ahead and erase away where the light is coming from. Erase away some of my background. So when you're using the add erase method, you really need to pay attention to what is up against other things. A lot of you with your spheres with pencils, you couldn't tell the difference between the sphere and the shadow because you just combined it into one big dark lump. You need to pay attention and see what you're looking at. Does it look like a sphere to you? Does this look like a cone to you? Because if it doesn't look like a cone to you, it probably won't look like a cone to me either. So I'm a little ambidextrous, so I'm able to switch hands. There we go. And then I need to have a shadow still on my bottom table. So I don't want to erase too much from my bottom table, or maybe I want my bottom table to be lighter. Let me see what it looks like with it medium, and then we'll go from there. Shoot. Sorry, my lights turned off. So I'm going to go in with just lightly erase. Yeah, I think I like it better with a dark table. But remember the shape, I want to have the shadow still. So I'm going to erase away enough of the table, but I'm going to leave the shadow. And I can always go back in to add the shadow too, but I'm going to go ahead and keep a little bit of it there. And then I can go back in and draw the shadow. So opposite. All done. All right. Okay, so we have our pencil toned drawing. We have our add erase drawing. So now we're going to draw on our toned paper. So I'm going to take my HB pencil and I'm going to go ahead and draw my shape in. So let's do, I don't know, let's do a bottle again. I'm going to do a funky bottle. I don't know what kind of bottle this is, but it's a three-dimensional form. And then I'm going to say my light is coming, let's stick with this. So my light's coming this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with my dark. Well, in this case, my light dark. And following the shape. When you have a weird shape like this that kind of bulges on both sides, on one side you'll bulge one direction. When you get to the middle, it'll be straight, and then when you get to the other side, you'll start going the opposite direction. I'm going to do a little bit of this up here. So I'm going to straighten with my 4B, just because remember, we don't have to use every single pencil every single time. I think I'm going to leave my 6B out of this for now. I'm going to clean off my stub. So this is making me wonder if I should give you guys bigger paper for this gray, because this is kind of a little bit of a pain in the neck. So you guys might get a bigger piece of this. Okay, now I'm going to take my white and come in on the other side. In this case, I'm kind of writing the inside of the line a little bit because I want to make it look like it's really reflecting that light. And now I'm going to go light as I blend it out to the middle tone. So I'm barely putting any pressure on it. Now on the other side of the white line, so on the left side, I'm going in and putting just a little bit of light white there. That'll make this part stand out. Because the lip of my bottle is getting hit by the light. I'm going to add that in there. I'm just blending it out to that middle point. This lip at the top is just making it look like it has some thickness. So there's my shape. I still need a shadow. So I'm going to go in with I'm going to pick this 4B. Oh, no, let's do a 6B. So my light's coming from here. My shadow is going to be kind of wavy in this way. Fuzz out the shadow a little bit. Okay, so there is my shape. I'm going to give it a table to sit on. I'm going to make my table a super light gray. Just be careful when you get up around your shape. Okay, and then for my background, I think I'm going to go a little bit simple, and I'm just going to have a little white over on this side, fading into just the gray of the paper. Okay. So here are our 3 shapes. Let me lift you up a little bit so you can see. So you have your 3 value scales that you did from the previous video, and then your 3 shapes that you made, your 3 forms. I want you to turn all of this in on Google Classroom. Either come to me if I'm not doing anything and I will grade it, or you could take a picture of it and post it on the Google Classroom. And then you can move on to the mini projects, which are going to be posted here in a little bit. So they're on the Google Classroom as well. Good luck.